Hello, I'm Peter Towers. Welcome to this overview on Facebook as I give you an insight into the presentation that I am making to the Walk and Wayland Annual Accountants Conference in Hobart over this weekend. The presentation I'm making is crowdsource funding equity raising, a significant financial improvement. A financial improvement for small businesses and medium-sized enterprises, and also an opportunity for accountants to create new income streams. What is crowdsource funding equity raising? Well, it's definitely not crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is where you make a donation to someone who is ill, who has been injured, or there's a specific fundraising following a bushfire event, and the donor basically only receives an acknowledgement. In some cases, there might be a crowdfunding raising for someone to finish a prototype of a product that they're trying to make, and they make some offer to supply the donors with samples of the products in the future. But in crowdsource funding equity raising, what the investors are receiving is ordinary shares in the company, shares that rank alongside the original founding shareholders. So it's a completely different type of activity. Companies can raise capital if they are proprietary limited companies with turnover under $25 million, gross value of assets under $25 million, and not listed on a stock exchange. And they can be any type of industry or business. So that's a very wide net of companies that may be able to avail themselves of this tremendous opportunity. I think one of the biggest changes in financing for small business and medium-sized enterprises for the last 40 years. The legislation introduces this concept of crowdsource funding intermediaries. As far as I know, we've never had intermediaries in Australian commercial law before. The intermediaries wear two hats. One is as the gatekeeper to make sure that all the rules and regulations have been abided by the company trying to raise capital, and they report that to the Australian Security Investment Commission. But the second hat they wear is as the promoter, because each of the intermediaries has gone out to the marketplace and has assembled lists of people who have indicated that they're prepared to receive messages and emails from the intermediaries about companies that the intermediary has then listed on their website for capital raising purposes, utilizing crowdsource funding equity raising. So it's a great way of being able to raise capital. The intermediary has to check the crowdsource funding offer document, which in the main will be prepared by an accountant or business advisor for the directors and senior managers. And this is a great role that accountants can play in helping the company make sure that the documentation is prepared. There is a post-capital raising process. As long as the company has raised the minimum amount of money that it listed in its crowdsource funding offer document, at the end of the listing period, which is a maximum of 90 days, but can be a lesser period if the directors have nominated a lesser period, the intermediary communicates with the directors and indicates that the minimum amount has been raised. The intermediary then transfers to the company's nominated bank account the net proceeds. That's the gross amount raised less the intermediary's negotiated fee that the company's already agreed to, and that will be around 6 to 7% of the capital raised. The intermediary will also send the company a list of their new shareholders, names and email addresses or street addresses. Now, this could be 500, 600, 700 names. So a number of the companies have elected to appoint a share registry business who will look after the share register and the preparation of the share certificates and the dispatch of those share certificates to the new shareholders. The key players in crowdsource funding equity raising is obviously the company, the directors, senior managers, the accountant or business advisor who is advising the company on this process, the intermediaries, and obviously the investors. And the investors can fall into two categories. Number one is the retail investors, who would normally have a net worth of less than $2.5 million or not have earned over $250,000 tax gross income over the last 2 years. Because if they're above the net worth of $2.5 million or have earned more than $250,000, they are considered to be sophisticated investors. There is a limit on the investment amount that a retail investor can make in a 12-month period to one company, and that is $10,000. So that's an overview of how the process works. In the 2-year period up to 31 January 2020, 68 companies have ended up very happy because they raised $45.1 million. They went out and raised at least their minimum target, and some of them raised a lot more. They raised up to their maximum targets. Why wasn't there more companies? I don't know. I think there should have been. I think there should have been hundreds of more companies. If you're an accountant or a business advisor watching this, please talk to your clients about this great financing opportunity that they now have. And if you're the owner or operator, director, or senior manager in a small or medium-sized enterprise, why not talk to your colleagues and suggest to them that one of the ways you might be able to organize your business's finances is to raise capital as a crowdsource funding equity raising company, and make some inquiries as to how it works. We also have prepared an intermediary survey over the last few weeks, and if you would like to read what the intermediaries have had to say, and they've made some comments about business operators and accountants, you can obtain that and the scorecard by going to www.essbiztools.com.au/crowdsource funding. Learn more, and those documents are there. Or if you would prefer to contact me, send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and I will send a link to those documents. In summary, I think there's a tremendous opportunity that's available for accountants all over Australia to participate in this capital raising activity. And that is what I'm going to be talking to the accountants from Walker Whalen about on Saturday morning. If you need any further information on crowdsource funding equity raising, please don't hesitate to contact me. Have a great day. Goodbye.